Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode, the very first episode of the ACential podcast, the podcast that gives you the latest and greatest information about Anime Central. My name is Sean. I'm a member of the Arts and Publication team for Anime Central, and I have the esteemed duty to be your host for this lovely show that's going to tell you all the latest announcements that we have about the upcoming Anime Central convention. So, for those of you who do not know, what is Anime Central? Well, Anime Central is the flagship event for MAPS, the Midwest Animation Promotional Society. Every year, MAPS holds Anime Central at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois, and I gotta tell you guys, if you've never been to Anime Central, it is a fantastic convention. We've got all kinds of stuff for people to do. We've got anime viewing rooms. We've got panels. We've got guests. We've got musical guests from Japan. We got anything and everything that you could think of at an anime convention. It usually happens at Anime Central. Our very first Anime Central was held at the Holiday Inn International O'Hare in Rosemont back in 1998. Wow. 1998. That means that 2022 is going to be our 25th Anime Central. And it's going to be a fantastic year. It's going to be our first year back together with you guys since the COVID-19 pandemic. So, thanks to that, we weren't able to see you guys in 2020 or in 2021, but we're coming back in 2022 to bring you guys a fantastic con. Now that I've told you what Anime Central is, maybe I should tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Sean. I am a part of the Arts and Publication team. I am a volunteer staffer. I just started staffing with Anime Central in November of 2019. So I have not actually physically staffed a con yet, but I have been attending Anime Central since 2009. When a former coworker of mine had recommended that I go, she said, it's a great time. There's tons of really great guests. And I said, all right, I've never been to a con before, so I'll give it a shot. I went. My first ACen, let's just say, I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing, any of that stuff. I got lost more times than I can count. I ended up staying at a hotel up on Higgins Road. I believe it was the Marriott O'Hare. And I had to drive every single day from that hotel to the convention center parking lot. So I ended up spending a lot of money on parking too. But overall, I had a great year, even if it was a bit of a disaster. After that, I learned more about where I should go and what I should do, and I've had a great time ever since. So, like I said, back in November of 2019, I was accepted onto the Arts and Publication team as part of their social media outreach program. So, if you guys have seen a post by Anime Central on our Facebook page, our Twitter, our Instagram over the last 2 years, more than likely I'm the one that posted it. I absolutely love working for the con, and I cannot wait to actually physically staff ACen 2022. Now, another question I know may come up with a lot of people is, well, why is Anime Central starting a podcast? Well, don't you know, guys, podcasts are cool. It's what all the cool people are doing these days. But honestly, we started this podcast to give you guys the latest and greatest information about the con. We also want to be able to talk to you guys about what it's like to actually be on staff and working for Anime Central. We want the conversation to be a two-way street for you guys to see what we do and that we're not just a blob of nameless, faceless volunteers, that we're actually human beings. And we love anime and we love ACen, and we want to share that love with you guys in the hopes of growing the convention. We want to get bigger, and the only way we do that is to reach out to you guys and show that being on staff at Anime Central is great, and to reach out to you guys and do fun stuff like this podcast, which I hope is fun. So if you guys decide that you really would like to join staff at Anime Central, I will link in the show notes the place where you can go to become a volunteer. So the idea for the podcast is to release new episodes on a semi-monthly schedule, but more episodes could come out as we get more announcements to talk about, as we get more staff to talk about what's going on in their departments. So for right now, it's going to be monthly. As we get closer to the con, that could change. So unfortunately, the only real announcement we have right now is registration. Registration for Anime Central 2022 is officially open if you have not already registered. Now, a few key details about registration. As some of you may know, due to that global pandemic, we have not been able to physically hold a con for the last 2 years. So for those of you that registered for Anime Central in either 2020 or in 2021, and you did not request a refund, you should have already gotten an email confirming your registration for 2022. If you did register for either of those years, but you requested a refund or you haven't registered yet, Tier 1 registration, our lowest price on registration, that ends August 31st. So get on that, get your badge, because this is the lowest price it goes. I know some of you Anime Central faithful will be saying, well, you guys have cheaper tickets at road shows. That's true. But at this time, we have no road shows planned before our 2022 convention. So if you are thinking about going and you want the lowest price you can on tickets, do so right now. You can do so over at acen.org/registration-info. So, seeing as though this is our very first episode of the ACential podcast, I wanted to reach out to our people via our social media and see about your guys' first experiences at Anime Central. So we've got a couple emails here from you guys. If you guys would like to email the show, you can do so at podcast@acen.org. So I have this email here from John Park. He writes, "Hello, ACen podcast team. Just wanted to share my first experience many years ago. The year was 2007. I was 15 years old and attending my first convention of any kind with a group of friends. I was in my first cosplay of Inishi from Rurouni Kenshin, and I'm sorry if I butchered that name. It's been years since I've seen Rurouni Kenshin. It was all of our first times, and we only spent the one Saturday there, taking in the sights and whatnot. It was truly a one-of-a-kind experience. Towards the end of the day, a couple of girls approached me and carried a big yaoi paddle. I remember the days of the big yaoi paddle. Keep in mind, this was before I fell down the anime depravity hole and had no idea what yaoi meant. The girl holding the paddle asked me if she could hit me with it. Me, thinking she'd just hit my shoulder or something, agreed, and she smacked me on the butt. My friends explained what yaoi meant, and we all laughed. Good times all around." Well, John, I hope that your first Anime Central was a eye-opening experience and that no one ever hit you with a yaoi paddle again. We have another email here from Philip Castillo. "Hey, my name is Philip. My first ACen was in 2005. I cosplayed as Nicholas D. Wolf from Trigun. It was an amazing experience. It was also my second con ever. Drove up from St. Louis, Missouri. I've never experienced anything like that before. I fell in love with conventions, the atmosphere, the people, seeing everyone's cosplays, the in-jokes that only people in the convention community will get. The game." Which, officially, sorry guys, you've all officially lost the game. It just happens. "I've taken tons of my friends to ACen since and love seeing their reactions and remembering my first ACen." Philip, thank you so much for your email. I love hearing about people saying, "Oh man, I went to Anime Central. It was such a great time. I had to bring my friends." And that's what we love to hear. We love to hear that you had a great time and you want your friends to check it out and see what all the mess is at Anime Central. We have one last email here from Stephanie Hahn. Hello, my first convention was ACen in 2013. I was super excited, but when we got there, I got super overwhelmed by all the people and things to see. Yeah, that happens a lot. There's a lot to do and a lot to see. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, congratulations, took off with one of his buddies to go to the game room, basically leaving me behind. Oh, that's sad. I left to wander the dealer's hall by myself, sometimes catching up with other smaller groups of friends. Eventually, I found where some of the photo shoots and panels were being held and felt a little uncomfortable. She said she felt a little more comfortable. At the end of the day, my boyfriend realized that he had done what he had done on his first day of ACen. I found the whole thing hysterical, but he felt bad. The next day, he took some time to show me around a bit. The real funny thing is now that when we go to ACen, we run in our separate directions to go do our favorite things. Eventually, we would meet up and tell each other about all the fun things we saw. The other really fun thing that happened during my first ACen at the Sword Art Online photo shoot, I ended up going to several photo shoots with our friends on Saturday, and while we were at the Sword Art Online shoot, we were blessed to witness a real marriage proposal between a couple dressed as Asuna and Kirito. It was so cute, and they looked so happy. I left that weekend sad that it was already over and already looking forward to the next year. We haven't missed one since, except for the last two. Stephanie, thank you so much for your email. I totally feel you on missing these last 2 years. I'm sure we're all really missing that ACen feeling, and I'm really hopeful that we can get more people to show up at ACen in 2022 and for some to experience their first ACen. So guys, that is going to do it for our very first episode of the ACential podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm super pumped about this con. I'm super pumped about this podcast, and I'm hoping that you guys are too, and you're excited to join us on this adventure. If you like this podcast, please make sure to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, on whatever podcatcher that you are listening to this on. We greatly appreciate it. So, the next episode is going to be about room blocks. That's right, guys. It's time. By the time this episode actually hits the RSS feeds, our announcement about hotel blocks should be open. So, we're going to be talking about the Hyatt Regency. We're talking about the Embassy, the Doubletree, the Crown Plaza, the Westin, and the Hyatt Rosemont. We are talking about that opening day on September 3rd. So I hope you guys will keep listening. We got a great episode next time about hotel blocks, about how to book your room, some tips and tricks on getting the hotel you want, and what to do if you don't get the room that you're looking for. So, I hope you guys will join us for the next one. With that in mind, I would love to hear, what is your favorite hotel to stay at for Anime Central? And what are some of your tips for getting that room you want? You can send your tips and your stories to podcast@acen.org, and we might read them on the next episode. Until then, this is Sean for the ACential podcast, and I want to thank you so much for listening. We will see you guys next time. Take care. This has been a production for Anime Central and the Midwest Animation Promotional Society. All rights reserved.